Was it successful? Yeah, I would say it was successful. We got to a place by the end of our first summer where we were working. Now, realize this is like 1983 or 82. We were making $50 an hour each, working 4 days a week, water skiing 3 days a weekend, and having the time of our lives. And it got to a place by the end of that summer where we didn't have to sell anymore. We would find a job on a street, do that job, and knock out the rest of the street over the course of the next 3 weeks, just word of mouth. And by the time we went back to school in the fall, we had half of our next summer booked already. And I knew I was onto something. Well, we did it for 3 summers. I did it all the way into my first, I guess, was it 2 summers in college. We ultimately were able to sell the name and our book of business, whatever we'd booked already, to 2 other guys. It was enough for me to buy a really nice car to go to college with, and you know, I would say that for that time in my life, that was my first liquidity event. It was exciting. Right. I did.
Did you guys complement each other, or what was your relationship?
We very much complemented each other. He was very energetic. We were both relatively personable and could look an adult in the eye and have an intelligent conversation with him. But he was really the go-getter sales guy, and I was really interested in and sort of fascinated by the whole back office concept. And so I kept track of our pipeline of new business, and I did all the scheduling, and I ordered all the raw materials, and I worked out. This was great. You know, I didn't know the word supply chain at the time, but I started thinking about, okay, we're going to the hardware store. At the time, I'm trying to remember the name. It was like, it wasn't Forest City, but it was like whatever came after Forest City.
Handy Andy.
The Handy Andy. We were going to the big box store to buy 5-gallon pails of seal coat and little squirt bottles of crack filler. And so I thought, gee, we could make more money if we could get this stuff at wholesale instead of retail. There's a concept. So not only get paid for the value add of applying it, but also make some margin on the material. This is a good idea. So I read the back of the bottle and I read the back of the pail and found out that in both cases, the material provider was in town. Got on the phone, made a phone call. Next thing I know, we buy a trailer. We got a 55-gallon drum on the back of the trailer, and we're filling our own 5-gallon buckets, and our margins went up exponentially.
Were you actually sealing yourself, or did you have crews that you sent out?
Well, it started the first summer with just us, and by the time we got to the second summer, it was us and another crew, and so he and I would each, go to a job. With another guy, and so we had 2 crews, and by the end of that summer we had trained one of those guys to lead yet another crew, and so we could have 3 driveways or 3 crews, because you could do more than 1 driveway in a day, but 3 crews working every day, 4 days a week. They all wanted to come. I mean, the question being, what do my friends think about the success we were having doing driveways? Well, most of them wanted to figure out how they could join us. And it actually ended up inspiring a couple of them to go off on their own. They didn't do driveways, but they found other ways to make money on their own, to start their own entrepreneurial endeavors. And some of them were equally as successful, painting houses or working construction, small construction jobs that they could, sell on their own and do the work and own the process.